What sabotage were you never allowed to take credit for? I got banned from all school events for switching out all the interview questions at a beauty pageant 30 minutes before showtime. My best friend Carmen looked at me through the curtains, her face full of panic. I grinned at her and put 2 thumbs up, whispering, "Okay, let the show begin." The lights dimmed and the host on stage shouted, "And now, for the question and answer portion of the show, let's bring out our top 5 contestants." Finally, my best friend Carmen didn't think she'd make it this far, but I knew. She was kind and beautiful, and deserved it way more than the bratty Harper, who greeted us with the typical mean girl line every morning at school. "Hi, losers." I held my breath as they called Carmen to the front, along with Harper and 3 other girls who looked just as nervous. Harper looked confident, but she wouldn't be soon. Not with what I did behind the scenes. The host called Harper first. The judge fished a question from the bowl while she stood there in her designer dress and perfect posture. "Who is your role model and why?" She started strong. "The 3 pillars of leadership that have guided my journey are..." Then she froze. Her eyes went wide. That wasn't the question she was looking for. She tried to recover, but by then the timer had run out. The host tried to push her to the side to call up another girl that stood there, malfunctioning like a robot. "These aren't the right questions." She finally snapped at the judges. The audience gasped at her outburst. I laughed on the side, thinking she deserved it after all the terrible things she did to other people at school. Harper's mom stormed onto the stage and demanded they stop everything. "Someone switched the approved questions. This is sabotage," she screamed. The principal hurried onto the stage and fumbled with the microphone. "We'll be having a 10-minute break before continuing the Q&A. Please help yourself with some refreshments." The crowd grew loud, already making theories as to what happened. After a few minutes, the principal called me over. Oh no. I took in a deep breath and followed the principal towards the security room. They sat me in front of the screen and pointed. "Mind telling us what you were doing at 2 p.m.? The footage showed me switching out the pieces of paper from the bowl very clearly." "I'll tell you what she was doing. She did this to help her friend Carmen," Harper's mom yelled. I shook my head and took in another deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart. "Before I explain, can you please rewind the footage to 1 p.m.? The security guard scrolled back. Harper's mom's face turned sour. I pointed at the screen and looked the principal straight in his eyes. This is why I did it." The footage at 1 p.m. showed Harper's mom sneaking in the back, changing the questions in the same way I did before throwing it out in the trash. 5 minutes later, it showed me approaching the trash can and pulling all the original questions out, piece by piece. The only thing I'm guilty of is how I switched the questions back to the real ones. I wasn't making it unfair, I was doing the opposite. Harper's mom shouted, "She's a liar. This isn't proof." The principal agreed. "Do you have more definitive proof?" I fell quiet, thinking. Then it came to me. "Actually, yeah, it's in my locker." We talked down the halls and opened up my locker. I handed him the rigged questions that Harper's mom wanted to use. "Describe your 3-year leadership initiative and its quantifiable impact on the student body. Explain how your documented community service hours have prepared you for representing our school." The principal looked at Harper's mom, whose face flushed deep red, and shoved the papers to her face. These weren't questions anyone could answer without weeks of preparation. His anger didn't surprise me, but what did startle me was how Harper started sobbing and mumbled, "Mom said everyone got the practice questions. You said it was fair." Her mom laughed. "Oh, stop crying. Without me, you would have been just like every other loser out there." My mouth hung open. A mom calling her own daughter a loser? I realized then that all this time Harper wasn't mean on purpose. She learned everything from her mom. She was a victim. The principal and judges had already agreed on disqualifying Harper, but I raised my hand. "Can Harper redo her interview with the real questions?" Everyone, including Harper, stared at me shocked. I nodded at her. "You're not a loser. You could even win this without your mom," I said, then added gently, "So why not try?" The host came back on stage and called up all 5 girls again. This time, when Harper stepped up and got asked about her role model, she talked about her older sister, who was studying to be a veterinarian. When they asked about overcoming challenges, she mentioned her struggle with anxiety and how theater had helped her. She wasn't amazing, but she was real, and the cheers for her were real too. My friend Carmen still won with her answer about taking care of her grandmother and how it taught her that medicine isn't just about healing bodies, but about holding someone's hand when they're scared. After the whole thing, Harper found me backstage with Carmen and hugged us both. "Thank you for giving me a chance to be myself." I smiled and winked. "No problem, loser." She laughed and walked off with other friends. Her mom later got removed as coordinator and head of PTA. Carmen used the scholarship money for her grandma's treatment and kept the magazine article framed above her desk. As for me, I got banned from helping at school events, but it was totally worth it.